everybody, this is Paige from Mosaic Moments, and today I'm doing a little demo with the grid die. Now you may recognize this page from another video. In the center here, that was another tutorial, and I have the link in the top right corner if you want to go check out how to create that circle. But really what I want you to pay attention to is the outside areas. Some of the photos you basically can see one photo, right, and it looks like it's cut into two different square sections. I'm going to be showing you how to do that today, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I have 4 photos here, and basically I have these sections where I'm going to place them. As you can see, I have other photos cut already to the 2x2 square shape. But for these 4 other dies, I'm going to be using this cut die. So this die makes 6 2x2 squares, and usually you would use it to make like a chunky mosaic. And today I'm just going to be showing you how you can use it to cut a photo in 2 different 2x2 sections. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you the steps. Alright, so the first step is to line up part of the grid cut die on the section you want to place on your grid paper. So right here I'm lining up the farthest left side with the one section of that huge, it looks like a big house on top of the cliff, and that's the part I want to put on my layout. I'm just trimming the photos here so that it can fit into my die machine a little bit easier. This is a very big die, and my photo would have been sticking out quite a bit over the plates. Once you have your grid die lined up over your photo correctly, the next step, of course, is to roll it through the die machine. We usually put the die in at an angle because we find that distributes the pressure of the machine and you tend to get a better cut. So in the end, you should save 2 of the squares you're going to use on the grid, just like I did here. So I'll be putting those on in a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and cut 3 more of my photos. Again, just take your time and place it over the part of the photo you want, and also you want to take your time and make sure that the 2 sides are going to get the portion of each side you want. Like here in this bridge, I'm deciding which part of the bridge do I want? Do I want to slice it right down the middle? So just take your time and make the decision carefully, because, you know, once you cut, it's done, right? So what I like about this tip is, let's say you really like this pattern and with a lot of 2x2 squares, and maybe you have a lot of photos you can fit into those squares, but maybe you don't have quite enough. So this is something you can do to fill in those spaces. So instead of having to find, let's say there's 25 2x2 squares and there's a few of them you can't, you know, maybe originally you were thinking each 25 spaces was going to have an individual photo, but if you don't have enough, instead you can take one photo like I'm doing now and cutting it into 2 different parts to fill it in. So in my case, my page pattern just has the 2x2 border going around the center, and so I'm just taking 4 of the photos and cutting them into 2 different sections to fill in the border. Of course, it also is just a neat technique to do. So in this case, I did it on purpose. I thought it would look really neat on my layout. It's something a little different. I don't do this a whole lot. So this is also just a way to change up your look if you really enjoy the mosaic grid look. And again, great technique if you just happen to not have enough photos to fit all of the 2x2 spaces on your chosen page pattern. Alright, this is my last photo, and this was a sign, and so I had to be really careful to cut, so I did not want it to cut off any of the words or slice the words in half, so I sliced it right where there's in between 2 different words here. Alright, now all of my photos are cut out, and there's a few of them that were the individual photos. I'm going to place them. I decided I didn't like the placement of a couple of these, so I'm going to change that real quick, and that is why we recommend using Re-positionable glue, because you may change your mind. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I'm like, I didn't really like the placement of those photos, so it's nice to be able to pick up those photos and change it up when you need to. Alright, now I'm gonna start gluing the back of the dies I cut with the grid cut die. Again, it makes the 2x2 size on the grid. And of course, if you've glued many photos down the grid paper, you know how it goes. I'm using Re-positionable glue from Herma Dotto. And I just get a little bit on, this is a pretty small cut, so generally I get 2 of the corners and then I put like 1 diagonal strip down the center of these size squares. And already you can see how neat it looks. And again, I could have put, you know, individual photos in each of those spots, but I really like the idea of having maybe some of the 2x2 squares have an individual photo and then some of them having the same photo go across 2 or 3 of the squares instead. Gives it a whole new look. It's a whole different technique, but it's really easy and simple, especially if you have the grid die. So don't just save the grid die for those big mosaics. You can do something like this and it's super quick and easy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this quick demo. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And hey, look how neat this looks. I love it. All right. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.